Oh, you're the dude who wants to shoot the feature film on the DJI OSMO Pocket 3. Are you wearing that helmet so you don't get your head rocked by real film directors? Yeah, I am wearing a helmet, and that's not why I'm wearing a helmet. I'm wearing it because I'm riding my bike around. So yeah, and I am the guy who wants to shoot a feature film on the Osmo Pocket 3, but I have my reasons, because limitations are a good thing.
In film as much because of the way that films are conventionally made, and I just have an immediate reaction because of how I shoot in a very free-flowing, structured way, I guess.
Limitations as a filmmaker. There's not as much discourse around limitation because everyone wants complete control of their environment when making films. I really hope that this shot works out, because as one of the rules I set was that I can't do another take. I only got one shot of this monologue and making it work. Limitations as a filmmaker. Just using the real world as production design, sound design, real people appearing in my films on the street, things like that. The real world and the film world colliding. I could have done this monologue back home, but I decided to do something a bit more exciting, and I have to actually move the camera because there's a car coming. So limitations. I'm heading to Sydney next week. Bit of an exciting little trip that I decided to do. You know, since I'm heading to Sydney, I might as well do something a little different and set myself some rules. The vows of chastity, as they call them. What's interesting about the DOGME movement in filmmaking was the people who subscribed to the vows of chastity had to submit to these rules. And these rules were made to bring creativity to another level and also be subversive in cinema culture at the time. So the first rule for the Sydney Cinematic Vlog is only one SD card. Why? Because I'll save every single shot that way. Back in the day when people shot on 16mm film, they had to savor every single shot, especially on independent film productions where you're using the short ends of film stock and things like that. Also, another thing, no tripods. No tripods. Why? Because by not using a tripod, you're forced to come up with creative ways to do shots and make them look cinematic still. And also, no tripod is just another challenge that I want to add to the Sydney Cinematic Vlog. And shooting no tripod is kind of interesting too, because it means that a lot of the shots will have to be not locked off, so there'll be a bit of movement for those kind of shots. Another limitation I want to set is you can only do one take per shot. So if there's a moment, you can't redo the moment. So the only way to get another shot would be to change the angle completely or shoot it in a totally different way. So you only can do one take per shot. That limitation would force me to be more creative and more selective with each frame. Now, if you saw my cinematic vlog in Japan, you saw that I utilized tracking shots and long takes, uninterrupted movement shots through cities like Fujikawa, Guchiko, and yeah. So another rule that I want to set on this journey is to also do a 1 minute uninterrupted tracking shot with no cuts at some point. It has to be worked into the framework of the episode. No hesitations, it has to be done. And at some point that needs to work its way into the framework of that particular episode. That's 40 seconds there, and yeah, these tracking shots are not as easy to do, especially when you only have one shot or one chance at doing them. So I'll work that into the episodes. This bench is about to become a tripod. Yeah, I quite like the no tripod rule because it kind of forces you to be more creative with just everyday objects to make it work. Like just then I was riding past and I thought, oh yeah, this would be a nice kind of frame. Another example, just riding your bike around and just being able to find interesting production design everywhere. It's yeah, the world can be your set.
Potentially not this one, which is a very personal story, but other more narrative-driven stories. How do you approach working with performers and how do you approach, working not on a set necessarily because your set's at the street.
At the film festival, that's literally what was said about my body of work.
Yeah, it's not the way, but the film that got me into filmmaking was a Japanese independent film called All About Lily Shushu, which was all handheld, a lot of out of focus shots, handy cam footage, and I think I'm just chasing that feeling in every project.
All right, let's do this, come on. I didn't write a script for this one, so I'm just jogging my brain a bit. I actually set myself a limitation. I wanted to have the episode done by 3 p.m. I left the home at 2. So I wanted to shoot the vlog over 1 hour to give it a bit more spontaneity and just make me just kind of push myself to kind of just vlog in the moment and get the episode done within a time frame, which is a bit of practice for next week on my trip. And these rules were made to bring creativity to another level and also be subversive in cinema culture at the time. And now more than ever, I do think it is important that these rules find their way into independent cinema in some way. Because even now within that product, I feel that things are starting to all look and feel exactly the same. So I'm not too sure. But when it comes to this kind of vlogging and cinematic vlogging, I'm quite keen to try put some limitations on myself because I think limitations are what makes the great art. And with limitations, sometimes, the good stuff can come. You just gotta let it happen. Also, why am I wearing this helmet still? I was trying to get shots off the train and they didn't work, so I had to just walk on. I only got one take. That was pretty much it. So what you're gonna see in this episode is probably some imperfections.